Mike.
All right, I'd like to call the November 16, 2021 Hammond Sanitary Board meeting in order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Start with the consideration of the October 26, 2021 board meeting minutes. Can I have a motion? Oh, thank you. For the record, I want to make a statement that we did have an executive session prior to this meeting to discuss litigation and personnel matters. So we'll move on to the consideration of the October 26, 2021 board meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion, have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. CEO's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. The only thing I have to report, actually, the year is winding down, and so a lot of our employees are taking their vacations because it's the perfect time to do that between now and the end of the year. We were in a meeting with the mayor Monday morning, 20 different department heads, and it was discussed that the mayor is going to do an executive order talking about all new hires, both full-time and part-time, that either hired by the city or any of the outlining entities, including the Hammond Sanitary District, will be required to have a COVID vaccination, or they will not be considered to be hired by any of the departments. That's for both full-time and part-time new hires. So just so the board, as soon as we get the executive order, I'll present it at the next board meeting so that we can pass it also. Other than that, the plant's running very well. Weather's been very cooperative. It's starting to get colder. But if you think about it, it's already almost the end of November, getting into December. I mean, how many months we have? December, January, February, March. So I'm sure Mr. Massey is happy with that. No real issues with any employees. And like I said, the revenue streams, knock on wood, have not changed at all. They've been extremely consistent. And I've seen no flux to be worried about with COVID. So as compared to other departments, and some of the city departments, we've not experienced any of that. So we're very grateful for that. Other than that, Mr. President, I'll be happy to entertain any questions from the board.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Marty? All right, we'll move on. We did receive a personnel report today. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve the personnel report that's included.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed. Moving on to the financial report. Rachel is on vacation.
I'll answer any questions that the board may have.
Do you have any questions about the financial? All right, we'll move on. Any reports from the department?
I'm sorry.
Okay. You want to move back to that? Any reports from the departments? All right, things are going well.
Yes.
Great. We'll move on to consultant reports. Mr. Hickey.
Yes, you should have a copy of my status report, just a minor update. So on the CD status report, we did submit that on November 9th for on behalf of HSD. So that quarterly report was submitted. And then with regard to the long-term control plan, we're still waiting to meet with Griffith. We met with Highland on October 19th, and we still haven't heard back from Griffith. So I'll keep you posted on that.
And Mr. Hickey, if you would, so just for the body and our listening audience and for the record, can you talk about briefly the rising of costs that your agency had found?
Yes, so we've updated this long-term control plan in 18, 19, and 20, and the past two times we updated it, we looked at inflation and the cost increases, and they're about 1% a year. We took a quick look about a month ago just to see what it would be from September of 2020 to September of 21, and it was 8.7%. So big difference from previous years. So we're gonna have to keep track of that, and it's probably getting worse as this year goes on. But for the calendar year, September to September 20 to 21, it was 8.7%.
So the main reason, Mr. President, I wanted to have Mike talk just briefly about that is because of the fact that our revenues are rate-based, and so they're locked in. We get no tax revenue whatsoever, other than the sewer department, which sees a very small amount. So all of our revenue is based on a rate, and those rates are locked in. So what we have is a rising cost far than it being normal as compared to previous years, 1% to 8%, but we have locked in revenue. So I watch it very closely, and hopefully that we can continue to manage our finances as well as we have in the past, so that some of that can be absorbed in projects or some other things that we just don't have to do right now. But it's inevitable, right? That I may have to come to this board to say, we have to do something because of the fact that those costs have not come back down and they're still up or rising, but our rates are locked in. So I just wanted to bring that to the board.
And Jeff, I know you mentioned to us earlier this year that especially chlorine, that the pricing of chlorine was impacted partly due to the shortages with water-related issues in the East Coast. Have you seen any information saying that's going to improve?
No, it's actually going higher than what it was, and it's now affected just about any chemical. So we use polymers here, and the polymer costs have gone up dramatically as well. And most of this polymer is actually made in Germany, so not only is it more expensive to get, trying to get it here is a whole other story as well. So the cost as far as the chemical usage here in the plants have more than doubled.
Kathy, we're gonna keep seeing rising costs for at least another year or two. Maybe something like that. We've all gone to Home Depot recently. The price of wood is through the roof. The plywood is $80.
One thing I want to also point out is that our timing in our construction projects, including the screws, couldn't have been better. We were almost 8 months ahead of the COVID. If we had waited or stalled, especially the $14 million project across the street, can you imagine what that would have cost us if we were in the midst of it and couldn't finish it because we had not budgeted enough funds? That would have been just a horrible, horrible situation. And especially with the screws, taking the decision not to just do one or two, but to do them all because they were all really bad and didn't really have any life left. Some good decision making on our staff.
That worked out well. All right, let's move on. Now, Donahue. Yeah.
You should have a status report from me as well, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the Donahue report? All right. Item number 9 on our list, the bank reconciliation document dated October 31, 2021. Motion to approve that.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
We have motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Move back down to the claims approval docket 11/16/21. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We have no resolutions today, so we'll move on to old business. I don't know of any old business that we need to bring up again. Okay. We have any new business today?
Mr. President, if I could just also add that what came out of Monday's meeting with the mayor was something that he has said more than once about the Hammond Sanitary minutes. He had indicated to all of the other 20 department heads on Monday that he reads all of our minutes, every department. And I just know how he gets it done, but he does because I know I get Sharpies from him on various things that are talked about in minutes. And he said, and he told all the other departments that they should look at the Hammond Sanitary Board minutes because he said they are the best, very complete, and include all the information that was discussed from the time that the board meeting started to the time that it ended. And that he feels so comfortable that he only needs to read the minutes and he knows everything that's going on in the sanitary district. So that goes to kudos to Kaleigh because she puts those minutes together. And he's not only said it this past Monday, he said it in several other meetings. Owana, I think, has been at some of those where he compliments our minutes. So good job on that. Okay, good job.
It's not easy.
All right, any other new business to talk about before we move on? All right. Going on the list, reports from commissioners. Any reports, commissioners? Is there any public expression? Yes, sir.
Mr. President, I have a suggestion for the Hammond Sanitary District. And that is that you toot your horn a little bit more than you have in the past. I would dare say that most people in Hammond and all of Northwest Indiana have no idea how polluted this Grand Calumet River was 30, well, let's say 60 years ago. I grew up very close to the river. As a teenager and as a preteen, there was never a thought of going into the water. It smelled so bad, it was covered with oil. One time the Grand Calumet River was on fire because there was so much oil on top and somebody threw a cigarette down or something of that sort. But I would think that most people have no idea how bad it was. And I would bet that an awful lot of older citizens here have no idea how good it is now. And that change has come about because of organizations such as the Hammond Sanitary District, not working alone, of course, with the EPA and IDEM and the other communities that are on the Calumet River have made a big difference. And so because I and other people think that we need to and let the people who live here know what has been done over the last 50 years or so. A very good friend of mine, Lee Botts, some of you may have known her, an environmentalist, produced a documentary entitled Shifting Sands on the Road to Sustainability. And that documentary was nominated for an Emmy about 3 years ago. It was extremely well done. It's shown about every 2 or 3 months on Channel 56 WYIM. The number differs depending if you have cable or which cable, whatever. And Mrs. Botts, knowing that Ken Burns had a companion book to go with his series on the national parks, wanted a companion book to go with for a documentary. And so she asked me to do it. And I realized that when I came on as the liaison for Munster, none of you knew who I was, but I knew who you were. I worked with the district before. Don Woodard and I communicated a lot. He helped with the previous book from plants that are growing in the facility here. So this is the book we came up with.
So you have to state your name for the record. So our
Ken
minutes will be
Stoon,
perfect.
8010 Forest Avenue, Munster, Indiana.
Okay, great.
Sam,
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
it is coming.
Thank you.
And this is for the district, and I would hope that it doesn't spend much time on a shelf. Lend it out to people who need it, and when it comes back, lend it to somebody else.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Very nice. Thanks.
So, Mr. President, thank you, sir, Mr. Stoon, Commissioner, Councilman, I should say. One of the things that I thought was important early on when I took over running the district was education and letting the people in the city of Hammond and the surrounding cities know exactly what we do. So we have made it a top priority and effort over the last 8 to 9 years to do more tours, to reach out. I try to do speaking engagements to different community groups
That's
throughout
great.
the city to talk about what we do and this phenomenal plant that we have sitting in Hammond, Indiana, because it's so unique and it's so valuable to our daily lives. So we've made it an effort, and I'm the chairman of the Challenger Learning Center here in Hammond. And we're under a capital campaign to move to the old Walmart site right by the new sports complex.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And part of what is going to be in and housed into the new facility is not only everything that we do in Challenger, but we're expanding it to recycling and wastewater treatment and potable water. So we will actually have a space for the Hammond Sanitary District dedicated within this new site in a mini working plant so that we could reach out to the youngest of our children to show them and get them interested in what we do and when they flush the toilet, where does it go? What do we do with it? And then we put it back into Lake Michigan so that it can go through the recycling process of potable water all over. So we're doing that potable, the Hammond Water Department is gonna have the space next to us. And I think it's important. I think the taxpayers should have a chance to come and see what their tax dollars and how we are spending that in this facility. Because I've been almost 12, 14 years that I've been here. And it's still remarkable. When I walk out to the plant and join one of the tours, I'm still amazed. I learn things that I thought I'd already known because it is just a really, truly great process. So thank you. We are reaching out. I love the community to be involved. We invite both the young and the old to come and visit. And then I try to go out as often as I can to speak to these various groups about exactly what we do.
If the people on the West Coast trusted what they did, there would be less of a water shortage because they would be reusing the water that was treated by their sanitary districts. Because there's nothing more impressive at the end of that process is to take a drink of the water that comes, is the effluent and drink it in a public meeting.
I've challenged.
We have a
them.
lot of senators who won't do that.
Well, I've challenged the mayor to do that side by side with me. He's getting closer. He's getting closer. But, you know,
County has a closed one.
yeah, I mean, it's, you know, I've always said that our water source is our new liquid gold. I've said that for a long time. And now people are realizing it because of the fact that water is becoming a little shorter and scarce. So I think that we have a golden opportunity to continue doing the educational part that I think is as important as running the plant and letting the taxpayers know exactly what their dollars want. Because we have truly something that not only services Hammond and Munster, but we service all of Whiting, we service all of Griffith, all of Highland, and they rely on us. Without us, they're in big trouble. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you again.
This is, thank you.
Thank you.
And Mike already has his.
Are you gonna sign all our books?
You noticed I didn't give him one.
Are these all signed yet or not? We're gonna want
They
these
should be
signed.
signed. If they're not,
All right,
we
good,
can do that before we leave.
perfect. All right, thank you again. Any more public expression today?
We'd like Matt to announce the.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
the
good idea, yeah.
ceremony.
Sure, so this Friday, November 19th at 10 o'clock at Irving Park, behind the baseball field in right field, we are hosting a memorial service for Pat Moore Sr., who was a commissioner on the board for several years. Like I said, it is this Friday, November 19th at 10 o'clock at Irving Park, so all are welcome to attend.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, anything else to discuss before we adjourn? Then motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you all for your time.